To be honest with you, I'm going to be honest and very frank and say that I'm not a big fan of what's happening at the moment in diversity inclusion field. I like, let me start with what I like. I like that there is a lot of, people talk about diversity inclusion. That's a good thing. People never talked about diversity inclusion as much as they do this year. The problem with diversity inclusion now is that it's becoming, number one, very polarized, number two, very political. And we in Europe and in UK, we look at US too much at the moment. And we have very different history, very different migration history, very different laws, very different population. And we shouldn't use US as a copycat. And number four is that even though there is very important to talk about race when it comes to diversity inclusion, and it's way, way delayed to have this conversation in US, I think some people forget that diversity inclusion is not just about race. There are lots of different aspects about diversity inclusion, and not just about aspects. It's all about, you know, having empathy, having compassion, having vulnerabilities, not being an asshole. So I think sometimes people forget that diversity inclusion is not about putting people in boxes, but being a good human being. The danger that in diversity inclusion field, and it's coming from someone who works in the field, who talks to a lot of companies, talks to a lot of experts. I see diversity inclusion field becoming very polarized in a way, and there's a lot of hate happening at the moment. A lot of people that I've been following for years, who are experts in the D&I field in the world, and I've been following them for many years, admiring them. I see even them becoming a little bit one-sided. It becoming like, okay, all white people should do this, all men should do that, all able-bodied people should do that. There's a lot of should and must, and I don't see dialogue happening. I really don't see dialogue happening. It's people who are passionate about, who are, you know, affected by the topic because they come from marginalized group. They will feel very strongly about it, and it's time to feel very strongly about it and actually speak up. But I think it's also very important to create a dialogue and not to have blame and hate. That's and people, I think people like you and me sometimes, you know, might feel that, okay, I should not speak, I should not say anything because I'm not diverse enough.
So what's the hate and what's the fear? So the hate is obviously, you know, the no programming, you're a cisgendered male. The fear is I will be sacked if I speak out.
I see lots of hate and lots of fear happening in diversity inclusion fields. Maybe I'm following the wrong people on LinkedIn, but that's what I see now in terms of statuses and what people express themselves in. The hate is that people start to speak up in a very vocal way without giving opportunity for other people to contradict or maybe disagree in a respectful way. So there is no dialogue in a sense. And fear is for people who are not, especially who are not familiar with the topic, who are not in the diversity inclusion field, people who are somewhat living in a very homogeneous areas and don't experience much diversity. They're afraid to speak up and even express their opinion or even ask a simple question, or they might even afraid to ask what does this and this mean, because they might feel that, okay, maybe I should know it, I'm not intelligent enough. So that's one of the reasons why I created a glossary for people to be empowered to be included in the conversation.
No, I love it. So again, it's giving people these units through words that they can have the conversation. And I think that middle dialogue, as opposed to all this cancelling and no platforming and power should be taken away. I mean, you know, the idea of defunding the police so you don't have any police. Statistically, it's not really representing the reality. It is an extreme form. And I like your idea of the sort of US versus Europe. Europe, it is, Well, basically, there was a lot of denial that there wasn't any racism. Racism had gone away. So I think it's quite useful, but it doesn't really replace all the work that has gone on within the European space. So I like your idea. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we could all just be curious about some of those phrases and discuss them around the dinner table, or discuss them at a safe COVID distance in the pub, and have a debate which is more real. So, Ola, where do we get hold of this? How can people, viewers now who want to read your 150 words of wisdom, how can they get access to that glossary?
It's very simple. You can go to my website, ollajungerius.com, and click on resources and materials, and you will see on the right column a glossary of terms. And you click on this file and you automatically download it. So it's all free. I don't even need your email address, your contact details. I'm not going to spam you. It's all for you to use in your work, to spread in your communities, to make the most of that. Use it. As long as copyright is respected, it's more than welcome. I think the goal of that is to spread knowledge, spread awareness, and create a more inclusive world, a more understanding world where we have a dialogue.
Understanding in an inclusive world. Ola, thanks so much for your efforts. That's fantastic. We'll put that in the notes, and then you can do that. Thank you for spending time with us. Viewers, thanks for your continued support of the channel. Nice one. So, Ola, goodbye for now.
Ciao, ciao. Thanks very much.
Viewers, goodbye for now. From me, Matthew, as well. See you next time. Cheers.